What's going on, guys? Just got this ms360 in, non-running, and I'm pretty sure it does not have good compression because I can pull the pull cord out really easy. So what I want to do first is just pull off the exhaust pipe, take a look inside there, see if I can see the piston and see if it is scored. If it is, I'm not too concerned. I think this one will be a good candidate to throw on like an aftermarket Meteor piston and cylinder, and if it is, you know, I'm probably going to go ahead and do that right away, and I'll give you the cost of everything. So let's first take this pipe off and take a look inside there. All right, so in the front here I have 4 T27 Torx bits, bolts, and this front shield will come off. Now I'm going to look inside here, and right off the bat, pretty easily, you can see that piston is bad. Yeah, all the way down. And if it's that bad, my guess is the cylinder is bad too. My question is going to be, why did it go bad? Was it the wrong fuel? Was there a air leak in the seals or the intake boot? So when I'm going to pull this all apart, we'll go through it and see if we can find out, because we're going to rebuild this. We don't want the same thing happening with the new piston and cylinders. So let's go ahead, start tearing this down, get all the covers off, and get down to that cylinder and see what we can find. I'll take this off right away. I might be able to see down through the spark plug hole and see the other end of this cylinder. It's not easy to see, but sometimes you can get a good eye in there. Take a peek at the other end of the cylinder. Doesn't look like it was running lean, but maybe a little bit. So if I look close, get the piston out of the way, and yeah, I mean, I probably won't be able to show you with the camera, but the other side of that cylinder is shot, so not surprising. So we're gonna pull this all apart. Let's get everything off. Like I said, I want to take a look at like the intake boot and everything. A lot of dirt in there. You know, I don't think it was caked too much with dirt, but for some reason it ran hot and it burnt up that piston. So let's get to it. Let's get all this off and see what we can find. Air filter is new, but I think the guy said that he replaced that after it stopped running to see if it could work again. Pretty dirty in here. The sprocket's in good shape, but it's really dirty. On there. Worm gears in good shape. All right, let's turn attention to this side and get the pull cord off. Very dirty in here. I do not like the looks of that. So you get a lot of dirt in the side cover or down in here, and if you're not getting enough wind flow, you're not going to cool off the cylinder. A lot of oil around there. I bet you the seal went bad. This fuel line is also brand new. trigger, I'm gonna leave that in, I'm gonna leave that in. Get this handle off. The reason I'm taking this all apart is because I got to clean this whole entire thing, and I wanted to make sure I got a good job cleaning this, because it is just caked with sawdust and dirt. And you can see the cylinder is really bad, all scratched up real bad. So that's got to be replaced. And then here's the better view of the piston. No up and down play. So I think I'll be all right with just a cylinder and a piston on this. But probably gonna do a seal over here. So I'm gonna order up some parts, and then once I get everything in, we'll put this all back together. So I'm in the process of cleaning this saw, and I have to admit this may be one of the dirtiest saws I've ever seen. It's no surprise to me that this thing burnt up. The amount of dirt packed around this thing, it just can't breathe. So I'm cleaning everything. I got a bunch of the parts done already. I'm just using like some parts washers, some air, and just gonna get this all cleaned up, and then we'll go ahead and start with the new thing. Got the new parts in. Got some seals, got a Meteor piston kit. So once this is all cleaned up, we'll get back to the second part of putting it all back together. Now it's all clean, I'm in the process of doing the crank seals. I just pulled this one out. What I did was I have a screwdriver modified with a little hook on it. I get it down in between the seal like that. I turn it a little bit, and then I pry up on it, and it'll yank it out. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm going to do the other one real quick, and then with the new seals in, clean up this little area here a little bit, make sure that that's all ready to go, nice and smooth, and then we're going to start putting this motor back together. All right, so now I'm going to put the new seal back in, and I want to put some lube on the crankshaft, and I want to put a little bit of Permatex RVT around the outer edge here to get a better seal along the outside there. I'm going to put a little bit of lube on the shaft. Again, I don't want this touching the outer edge, but just so that gasket goes over it nice and smooth, and a little bit on the inner edge of the seal there. Now I'm going to put a little bit of Permatex on the outside here. I don't need much. It'll help that slide in a little bit better anyway, and then create a better seal on the inside. Okay. Let me slide that down over top. Just got to make sure we clear the flyway key. It's lined up, and then nice and lightly, I'm going to tap that down. Unfortunately, I forgot to film the other gasket on the other side, but I already did that one. This is the old one. So let's get this piston off and let's get the new cylinder in. Make sure nothing falls down inside. Let's get this circlip out. Sometimes this pin comes out easy, sometimes it doesn't. Wrist pin, and there's the piston. So it comes with a new needle bearing. This is a Meteor kit. Closest thing you could find to manufacturer OEM as you can find. I'm going to spend a little bit more for this, but it's worth it. Get a little bit of oil on that. I like to use Assembly lube. I like to put a little bit here too for a dry startup. That'll burn off. Here's the new piston. The arrow goes towards the exhaust, so it's going to go this way. Out. Now we got to do the process of putting the rings on. These are carburetor rings that comes with the Meteor kit. Some of the better rings you can get. When you're putting these on, you're going to see these little pins on the piston, and so this one's on the top of the piston, so this ring is going to go on with the grooves facing upward. And then over here, same thing. This one's on the top, that one's gonna go on for groove face upward. So what I do is I lubricate this real well, get the first one on, then I move it down to the second level, and then I put the second one on. Again, I want those grooves facing upward, if you can see that. Start with one, work it around. Then I'm going to bring it down another level, work it around again. So there's the first one. Let's get the second one on. Once the first one's on, the second one's easier. Go. And we got our clips for our wrist pin. I'm going to put one on. All right, now we can put this on. Before I put the cylinder back on, I want to put the handle on and everything, get this all back together, get some of the stuff out of the way. these finger tight so I can hold that together temporarily. Now we're putting the coil in. I need to gap this. Okay, get the old intake boot off. You always want to inspect this. It actually looks basically brand new, other than some dirt on it. But otherwise, I think it looks pretty good. Nice and pliable, steel brand. Make sure that's aligned correctly. That's where the screw goes, that's where the impulse line comes. So it looks pretty good. I'm going to put a clamp down on top. Tighten that one up. It's important that this intake boot is in good shape and that, you know, it's nice and tight and sealed properly. This is how you get an air leak and blow up your motor. On this motor, I'm not too concerned. I don't think this is the problem. You know, it had some older seals, like look like original seals, and also that it was caked with dirt. I think it just overheated. I kept running it. So I think we should be good now. I'll hook up my impulse line. Make sure that's nice and snug. Now we can put the base gasket down. So a little trick we like to do here, that we can get this intake boot into the carburetor housing a lot easier. Tie a little string through there. All right, I want to get some assembly lube on this piston and cylinder. There's a little piston tool I use. It works pretty well. You just kind of pinch it around, make sure all the bearings are on it, pinch it, slide the cylinder over, then this will pop out the back. And then there's also a piston block here to keep it from not moving. Now, pull this out through, slide that down. Make sure that the gasket is in its spot. And when I tighten these, I want to go like on a star pattern, diagonal zigzag. Okay, while I'm up here, I'm going to put the compression release back in right away. So there's your compression release. Help you start it a little easier. I'm going to clean this up real quick. Get a new pull cord right away. That on. When you're putting this back in, there's a little notch down here for the worm gear. It's got to hook into this notch here. So that little arm to this notch. You'll know you're in right. I actually have this one marked here because it won't sit all the way flat if it's not. So that's in. Now we got our sprocket. And our clip. Okay, that side's done. Let's put the carb on. I want to pull this carb apart before I do that though, make sure nothing is screwed up. I do know this has to go in there first. And then this. Holds everything in place. So those two pieces go in. Now let's pull this carb apart. Place some parts in here. Not bad. This gasket looks pretty good. Not worried about that right now. And maybe in the future clean that up, but otherwise pretty good. This screw in before I lose that. All right, that's the screw for the handle. All right, I'm just gonna put the exhaust gasket on and the exhaust. Couple new guides in. Put some new guides in here too. That's got a lot more compression now. Let's see if we can give it a start. Choke on. Sounds pretty good. Might need to adjust the carburetor a little bit. I'm gonna let that run outside for a minute, and then once that's all, I want to let it run for a while, let it get nice and hot without revving it too much. I'll come back in. I'm gonna order up a bar for it, put everything back together, and then we'll do some cut and see how it works.